Yo, what's good, everybody? Tuesday night, your boys are back. It's Flyers Talk A to D Dales. Maddie, we got Pove underneath. Got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot more of a fun conversation. Not that we normally don't. Whoa, my YouTube is going crazy. Hang on. Forgot to put that on mute. Sorry about that. But yep, been a week, boys. Talking Porter Martone. Is he going to college or is he going to go down the NHL route? Does he go back to juniors? We're going to have a fun conversation surrounding that, especially since Gavin McKenna has decided he's going to go to PSU. Is he pulling people with him? Also on the top, a lot of signings going on around the league. A lot of the draft picks are signing their ELCs. We're going to go over that and see what kind of have a little bit more of a fun conversation with that as well. So make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. If you have that option to share, hit that button. Get us out there. Time to talk some puck. Time to jump in the conversation. Let's go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sinsudi along with the Dark Wing, Brian Daly.
Apparently it's my first time.
And the broken one, Rob Povia.
No matter what it looks like, I didn't get drunk, I didn't get a Mike Tyson tattoo, and I didn't get it removed. The end.
So you did.
No.
And we are live here on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by none other than Specialized Physical Therapy. Listen, if you got any aches and pains, and as you know, my arm's been killing me, one of the things you should absolutely do is go hit up the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, over at SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Either go to Cherry Hill or Burlington, New Jersey. Let them know what's bothering you. They'll get to working on you, and after a few sessions with them, you will feel as good as new. You get back to doing the things you love to do, you get back to not being in pain, and you get back to just feeling better. Isn't that what we want to do? Now, if you need to feel better about yourself mentally, you might want to go see a psychologist, but you know, that's a different story. Anyway, but with that, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Check them out and feel better. Yes, Robbie?
Are what you're saying, you got a little party war wound this weekend and you're a little sore from it? Is that what I'm hearing, birthday boy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Yes, I know. I'm officially 32 years old now. And to think that I mean...
Youngin.
Young.
You youngin.
Make it feel better. It's like the only time I can actually brag about that. And when I'm around everybody else, I'm kind of older than them. So anyway, thanks, Priz. Thank you for the belated birthday. Poll question for tonight. Porter Martone should delay signing his ELC and go play in NCAA hockey. Agree or disagree? Should he go to college or should he come to the NHL? There's benefits to both, but there's also negatives to both. For one, on the personal side of things, you get a college education, which is always not a bad thing. But also on top of that as well, you play with guys your own age and your own, developing of your body and what have you. You're learning at a skill level that might make it a little bit easier for you to digest because it's a different type of game. The other side of it is you get paid to come over with your ELC right off the bat. But the issue is you're facing grown men. Not to say that you're not an adult, but at the same time, you are dealing with full-sized NHL players, no matter what level you're at, whether you're at the AHL or you're at the NHL. And so that's going to be a challenge. Plus, also adjusting to the NHL game is a very hard thing to do. It's not quick. And so The question is, gentlemen, with that knowledge in hand, do you agree or disagree? Do you think Porter Martone should stay or should go to college? Or do you think he should sign his ELC and come here?
You know, I want Brian to go first because I have a really long-winded answer to this poll question. But I will say that Martone, being the 9th best prospect across the league according to the Athletics top 100 prospect list that came out this week, right? If anybody could make that transition, Maddie, it could be Porter Martone, just like Mitch Kopp did when he first came over here as well. You know, really arguably having a Calder trophy worthy season, even though he wasn't a finalist. But, you know, he could be up for the challenge, but I want to hear Brian's take first.
I think you should skip college and sign his ELC right away. I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but
Interesting. No.
So to Maddie's point, you know, he's going to play bigger guys, whether he's going to get paid. I mean, let's be real. Porter Martone's probably going to get paid in college hockey too. Maybe not to the point that Gavin McKenna is going to make, because he's getting, I think, $700,000 in NILs. So that's pretty spectacular. But now that they're starting to do that, I could see kind of the sway to want to go down the college route. I think it'd be smarter for him to go down the college route because he'd be playing guys at his level and he could develop nicely. But I also think that with the camp that he had in development, or the development camp that he had, I think he could definitely hang with the big boys. I think it gives him an opportunity to really showcase what he's about. And we're starting to see some of these big name guys from the first round starting to sign their ELCs as well. So, you know, maybe we're not exactly too far off on his development as is. You know, we'll get into a lot of the signings a little later on in the show, but my thing with this whole thing is, you know, where's he going to get the best development at? Honestly, I don't think he needs a whole ton of development. I think he should sign his ELC, take an extended camp if he needs to, you know, the extra 10 games. I think that he can learn a lot going back to juniors. I think he can learn a lot going down to the AHL now that they changed the rule that you have to be 19 now. So that's an advantage as well. So he can come up and go down as much as they feel like they need him to. So
not yet.
They haven't yet?
It'll be 2026-27 that takes effect. It's still 20 right now. That's what's effing Jetlachenko.
Damn, I thought that was happening sooner than later.
No. There was that new provision approved in the CBA, which will lower the age requirement for the AHL if you're coming from the OHL. That is, you know.
Yeah. So there's a couple little caveats there.
Yeah.
Damn. Never mind. Let him go to college.
Well,
that was the basis of my argument.
Right. Listen.
I'm sorry, my brother.
Ruined.
I mean, hey, Robbie, you know, he's a well-educated man, as you could tell. You know, he knows.
Are you? Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, you make a lot of solid points, though, Brian. I mean, we're not far off on the issue. I think we can all agree, though, Maddie, that Martone has nothing left to prove at that OHL level. He had 37 goals and 61 assists for 98 points and only 57 games for the Brampton Steelheads as their captain, and then not throwing 9 points in 6 playoff games. So if he should not make the Flyers out of camp, he would have to head back to the OHL unless he decides to head to college as like a last-minute decision if he doesn't commit right here and now. Because once you're committed, that's it. You can't sign your ELC. That makes it official. So you're kind of locked in for a couple of years.
The only thing I could see, now I don't know if this would affect his ELC by the law of the land in the NHL, but one thing he could try and do to sort of serpentine his way around this whole situation, maybe try to play in Europe for a period of time until it's time for him to come over. Only reason I throw that out there is that just in case he doesn't want to go to college, but at the same time he doesn't want to put his ELC in just immediately right off the bat, and he still wants to work on his game. He could do it that way without having to go to the AHL to do it. because once he's in the AHL, that's official. He's on his ELC. So it's an idea to throw out there. I don't know if you can circumnavigate that way, but if you can, it might be something to look into possibly to go play in the leagues in Europe and just spend a year or two out there. Sure, it'll be a different adjustment again when you come back over to the NHL because it's a different style of play over there. But it's just an idea. I don't know if that's a way to get around it, possibly.
He's expressed a lot of interest to go the collegiate route, though, if that's what he and his agent feel is the right decision. I mean, bottom line is, boys, is that, he's 18 years old, right? That might be a tall task to accomplish going overseas, but he has to be 20 in order to play in the AHL any way you slice it. So the Flyers and Martone, they're going to have that conversation, right? I got this quote from Brent Flair, Flyers assistant general manager. Martone's obviously got all kinds of offers. He wants to play in the NHL. That's a discussion we'll have with his agent. As much as we want him to play, we have to make sure we do what's best for him. We'll figure that out in the coming weeks and see what he wants to do and his family and go from there. And that makes a lot of sense, guys, because, where would be what would ultimately be the best? Because we did see a great performance in development camp. Right? He's really showing that swag and maturity for an 18-year-old. But, Maddie, you hit the nail on that mother effing head when you said that you take an 18-year-old kid playing against grown men, 25, 30, 32 years old. It's a whole different ballgame. It's very fast. Maybe it's a puck game, some may say. But I just think, like Priz talked about it, him going the route where he goes to Penn State and he joins Gavin McKenna, who's a commit to Penn State. I think that has a strong bearing on what Martone's going to do here. It's definitely one of the colleges Martone is considering, and why not, right? They got Luke Misa, the brother of second overall pick in the 2025 NHL draft, Michael Misa, and Jackson Smith committed there as well. But I think also, too, boys, after losing out on McKenna, as well as their Hobie Baker Award winner, Isaac Howard, who signed his ELC this week. We'll talk about signings in the second half of the show, but I'll let the cat out of the bag about this one. He signed his ELC with the Edmonton Oilers after being traded from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Michigan State will push for Martone heavily, possibly upping their nil offer, their name, identity licensing agreement, a way a college athlete can make a few dollars off his name and not the schools themselves. Yeah, that's according to Cam Robinson of Elite Prospect. With the Spartans, Martone could play on a line with 2024 fourth overall pick Caden Lindstrom. So he's got a lot of choices, guys, on where he can go from here.
Yeah,
true. Just want to give a shout out to John, who he's just getting out of the hospital and going into physical therapy rehab on the 28th, and then he'll be back home. So, hey, man, good luck to you, man. We're rooting for you, brother.
God bless, brother.
But SJM was saying he's got the frame of a grown man that might help him with his learning curve. Ferris was saying, imagine if Martone doesn't sign his ELC and plays with McKenna for a year, the Flyers pull an Islanders land number one, McKenna, Mitchkov, and Martone line. That's if the Flyers are really terrible.
The Flyers get the number one.
Yeah, it'd be tough, but I like it. I like where he's thinking there.
I'll say this, though. There is a major plus to going to college. One, I think it's one of the better development leagues out there, honestly, and it's just getting better because all the talent is choosing to go play college instead of going back to juniors. So you're getting a look at some of the guys that you wouldn't necessarily get a look at going back to juniors because, somebody's going back to the O, someone's going back to the Q, somebody's going back to the dub. You get to see all these guys that you wouldn't normally not get to see and really test, where you are. And on top of it, you get to play with guys you don't think you'd ever get a chance to play. You really think Porter Martone will ever get an opportunity to play with Gavin McKenna? Imagine where, we think Porter Martone's here, right? Gavin McKenna's here.
Yeah.
So imagine how much more if he plays with Gavin McKenna, that could make his ceiling
right
that much higher.
Right.
So there's huge development there. And to Maddie, your point earlier about going over playing in Europe. Honestly, unless it's like a Swiss league, I think he'd be playing way lesser talent. So I think going college or going back to juniors or signing ZLC and spending some time in the AHL, I think are all better options.
I got you. It was just a throw out there just to see if he could get around the whole age restriction thing with the
No, I got you.
AHL while at the same time dodging the ELC.
I got you.
But I mean, hey, look at it this way: he could sign with like the UK like hockey elite league and just score like 1,000 points in that league, and just be the greatest UK hockey player of all time before he comes over, or something crazy like that. Anyway.
I enjoy out of the box thinking, Maddie, and it's not a bad route, but if that were the case, I think he would just go back to the OHL and continue to dominate, and it's a very competitive league, right?
True. So,
but it's just different ways to circumvent it, really.
Jim's saying Martone will be in the lineup next year.
Wouldn't hate it. Even if it's just for 10 days, 10 games.
SJM saying Martone playing at PSU really benefits him long term, but selfishly, I want him in our organization early and aspire to see him on the Flyers ASAP.
No later. I'm calling it now. If he doesn't sign his ELC, he's going to be in the lineup no later than 21 years old.
He also says a Porter Martone Phantoms jersey would be a good get. There's a few Phantoms jersey. I mean, could you imagine finding some really nice Phantoms jerseys? Oh, that'd be awesome.
Get Mike Richards.
Yes. Let's see. Priz saying that's why when you see kids under 18 play in the top adult leagues in Finland, Sweden, Germany, Russia, Belarus, etc., you take them seriously. And then let's see here. Priz also saying college is the second best development league.
Yeah, and we've seen it right on our team, right? Kate's brothers, Bobby Brink. And really, for the first time, players who started their career in juniors can now switch gears and play college hockey thanks to the new agreement between the CHL and NCAA. So you expect to see more kids take advantage of it, right?
I would hope so. I mean, if you have more agreements between the junior hockey leagues and the NCAA, something that was normally not the normal situation there. Usually if you were in the NCAA, it was very rare to see you come over to the NHL. Right. That's kind of decreased in recent years.
Right. And there's another option, guys, that Martone could play in both college and the professional ranks next season. He could choose an NCAA program, play out the season, then sign with the Flyers upon its conclusion and either join the NHL or go to the AHL for a potential playoff run. That's the same direction that we saw as with Kaplan, Bump, Carson Dorrit last season. Kaplan and Dorrit each made their NHL debut. Alex Bump opted to go to the AHL for the rest of the season, but could very likely be on the pro roster this year.
Yeah. And that's an absolutely great point. So we saw JVR do it. He's probably the most significant one of anybody in a Flyers uniform, or even Shane Gostisbehere. You could throw his name out there. They all did the same thing. So that's another great option. Whereas you get the best of both worlds. You still get to see if college hockey is for you, see where you are on that level, and if you feel like you're above that level, you sign your ELC and you take the next step.
Right. And let's see here. SJM saying that he'll hang up his Martone Phantoms jersey next to his Neil Little jersey.
Oh, geez, Neil Little.
There's a blast from the past you haven't heard in a while.
Just throw out another random name.
Well done. That's my error.
Right?
Yeah.
I think he only played 10 games for the Flyers, and they realized, oh, you're a Phantom for life. Never mind.
Yeah.
Right up there with Niedemaki. At least Niedemaki made it through a couple of seasons.
Right up there with what the hell's his name? Michael Layton.
Yeah, Layton. But Layton kind of trumps both of them because he had that run in 2010. So
what'd he get him? He got him a whole lot of nothing.
He still can't hug a post properly. But anyway,
the post is fine. Kane found he left the middle of his legs wide open.
That's what I'm saying. Usually when you hug the post, you close that sucker up immediately.
That's what he said.
Whoa.
Damn, Maddie.
Jeez Louise. You go away for 1 week and look what happens.
Me Metal Mike saying Phantoms might be bringing back the purple retro jersey. I hope so. That was an awesome jersey.
That'd be cool.
Let's see here. So we're in agreement for the most part. For me, I will say I think he'll go college. I don't think he'll sign his ELC. I think if he's expressed a lot of interest in going the college route, I think he will. I think also I'm looking at it from the perspective of he might also be getting, feelers from family, possibly, maybe other outside factors that say you should probably go get an education while at the same time continuing to play hockey. Sometimes we forget that there's also the family side of it that's saying, hey, we know you want to play in the NHL. We know you're going to be a great star, but at the same time, do the responsible thing and take care of the education side of things first.
Right.
Yeah,
not take advantage of the opportunity to get that education, and then you're set. You can play your years of hockey, hopefully make as much money as you can, and then have a post career because you have a degree as well. I mean, that's never a bad thing to go, but chances are he might not stay for the full duration to get that degree anyway. But at least it'll be that much easier to complete. But hey, Maddie, look. He wouldn't have been at development camp if he didn't want to try his best to get in the NHL right now. So that's what I read. That's my read on what he wants. He came out and said, my mindset is to play in the NHL next year. So I'm not too far off. It's not a big leap of faith that I'm making here. But he goes on and says, if management staff here thinks otherwise, that's when you kind of have to have a talk with my agent and me. But right now, my goal is to make the NHL, have a big summer, really gain some strength in the lower body, and come into camp and try to earn my spot. But for me, I want to go and I want to play a full regular season in the NHL next year. So, I mean, Martone's goal is to play in the NHL straight from his draft year. And there's certainly a chance he could do that. Like I said before, he has the maturity for such a young kid, right? He's got the chops for it, right? But if he's not wearing the orange and black, the NCAA will likely be his next stop.
I will say, I think Prissé with the 1,000-yard stare can't decide if want to sell blue meth or give me a stunner or both. I will say the reason for that 1,000-yard stare is because I was trying to remember who the hell the Flyers had that did go from the draft immediately to the lineup, and the last person to do that was Couturier. So, because what's up?
Konechny?
I think wasn't Konechny in the AHL for 1 year?
I remember.
I think him and Provy spent 1 year in the AHL, and then they both came up the following year. If not, then if it's not Konechny, then it's Couturier. If I remember correctly, they drafted Couturier and they put him right in the lineup. Because then before that, I would have to think. Yeah, because Carter and Richards did not start on the Flyers. They started on the Phantoms. Giroux started on the Phantoms. I would have to think the last person who came right out of the draft would have been Lindros. Because I don't ever remember the Flyers drafting anybody back in the 90s other than Lindros that came right to the team.
Konechny did play. Ivan Provorov did not.
Okay, Provy spent the 1 year in the AHL.
No, other way around.
Oh, other way around. Oh, okay. Okay, so
Provy went straight to the NHL. Konechny spent a year in the AHL.
Okay, then. Okay, because I was wondering, because it had been a minute since we'd seen a guy get drafted by the Flyers come right to the team. It's been a minute.
I'm verifying before I say it because I like to cheat like that.
That's what I just did.
But yeah. No. He played. See, here's an example. I mean, of course, he's a foreign-born player. I was thinking Mikhail Renberg, but he was drafted in '90 and came to the Flyers in '93 after playing 3 seasons over in Sweden. Yeah.
I got
I was close.
It was the right era. So let's see here. So that is what we got here. And Joe's saying Jet played 13 for us last year, which was awesome to see. And he looked good during his time in the NHL. I mean, he got a little gas there towards the end, which is understandable. But
Was it 13 including the preseason? Because
yes, because he played
okay.
most of the preseason too.
I was going to say, I remember him only playing like 7 regular season games before being sent back to juniors.
Yeah, but he looked good though for even during his regular
yeah.
season games. So, still a lot of promise there with Jet Lachenko. I guess obviously Danny saw something and he's not wrong. So far he is absolutely not wrong.
Well, these kids have an opportunity, and Danny said it himself, right? If Tyson Forrester isn't ready to go with the infection in his elbow, that could open the window for a Porter Martone, or any of these young kids. So, but I also read a tweet from Jamie Bascow that somebody saw him at a wedding and he looked just fine. That being Tyson Forrester, so maybe he's got a shot to start off the season. We'll see.
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh yeah, he did have a wedding. I follow him on Instagram, so I did see that.
He was probably carrying the chair, man. He was up in there. He was ready. He had the it's good. Wedding Crasher style. Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, let's see here. So, with Martone choosing whether he wants to go to the college or the NHL, obviously it's a big decision that's coming up. Martone's saying a lot of great things. He's got his goals. He wants to get stronger in the lower body. He wants to get focused and honed in to possibly make the Flyers straight out of the draft. Be the first time since Ivan Provorov did it. And that right there could be a great sign for him to come right into that. And being a bigger guy that he is, I mean, I can't say that he would be the exact same player, but, we did draft Lindros, and he did come straight to the Flyers after that. Now, is he the same player? No, but he's a big body guy like Lindros was. So that could actually turn out to be he might just be ready for the NHL already. He doesn't need to go play juniors. He's already ready at the end of the day, when you really get down to it.
He wasn't just a point per game player in the OHL. He almost doubled that. So I mean, Come on now. The talents there is a reason why the Flyers would pass up on a center and go with the right winger there. They had a plan for size. We talked about that in past weeks. You can go back and listen to it after the show. And they carried out that plan by going big in this draft. But it also bets on the skill set that this kid has. And training camp's going to be awfully interesting. Rick Tocchet and staff are going to have a lot of tough choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is going to have some tough choices. John saying, wasn't the Hershey Flyer minor league team? Yeah, Hershey was representative for 3 or 4 teams, actually, for a period of time. I think Flyers had guys in there. Pittsburgh had guys in there. The Capitals, they kept them. And then there was one other team in the mix. So, yeah, there was like 4 or 5 teams that all used the Hershey Bears at one point.
I remember meeting Timmy Kerr when he was back in the day. They're in Iceland over in Hamilton. He's a part owner. So sometimes they'd have like almost impromptu practices for Hershey right over there too. But those were always fun games. I miss that era. I miss that era a lot.
It's funny. I haven't met anybody until I started working where I work, and they all come in. Like it's crazy. Like, and they're all great guys. The guys that I've met. Chemo, Hartsey, Derek Settlemeyer, like all them guys, great guys. And, it's funny. I hear people saying all the time, oh, I met this guy out here. I met this guy out there. I don't see these people outside of where I work.
You got to go hang around the rinks.
I play hockey every Sunday.
No. Like the practice rinks that day.
So I got to go to Voorhees. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. All right.
So let's see here. Me Metal Mike, how are we looking at goalies so far? I know training for training camps. Well, I mean, obviously we already have Bjarnson is definitely a big, okay, we really want to see him in the future. as for the current guys we have now, Fedotov, they're looking at him, and I guess they're going to try and keep him in the Phantoms right now. And seems like the tandem is going to be Urson and Vladar going into this season.
Mm-hmm.
And they're interchangeable tandem, basically.
Yeah, Vladar is going to go for the starting job, which, as he should. I think that it's going to be Erson and Vladar in the NHL. Basically, training camp is going to be who's starting for the Phantoms. So it's going to be between Bjarnason, Fedotov, and somebody else. I'm blanking on who it is. Apparently, Kolosov. There's still rumors that he's probably going to end up going back to Russia. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Or at least he's going to try to because he's still under contract. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, it's not to say we don't have any prospects in the pipeline. We do. It's just that right now, I think what we saw with Fedotov and with what was the other kid's name?
Kolosov?
Kolosov, thank you.
Yep.
I keep getting him mixed up with Askarov, and I don't know why.
That's right. Yeah.
It's the Russian names. They're getting me. Anyway. Anyway, the point being, though, is we saw what they could do. They were young, getting thrust into a tough situation. Fedotov got better as the season went along, but I think the comfort level's not there with him, and I think the same thing with Kolosov. So I think they just wanted to roll, and they need to roll with someone who's a vet that can work with Urson,
Right.
And that's kind of where they're at.
And boys, whenever you see a shift in, the manager, the head coach, whatever sport that may be, right? You can't expect to get the same level of play from the players in that sort of new era of that team, right? So with Erson having better play in front of him, which you hope, right? All these guys taking the next step, right? Some of the young talent making training camp, both offensively and defensively, cleaning up the porch in front of them. But also, too, let's not ignore that Rick Tocchet, we talked about this in past shows as well, had that Vancouver Canucks team playing phenomenally 5-on-5 defensively in terms of giving up the fourth least goals in the NHL during his tenure there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he's bringing that system to here, who's the direct benefactor of that?
Right.
Whoever's playing that, whether it be Erson or Vladar. And I mean, we could see, will we see the Vladar that put up career highs 2 seasons ago, or another sub 900 save percentage guy, right? But I think Erson is in store for some fine numbers here this year. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he's got a 915 and a 280 at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think he's not just going to be the benefactor of having Rick Tocchet and coaching his team. He's also going to be the benefactor of having a solid backup playing behind him. It's just going to make his life so much easier.
Truth.
Right. Because, I mean, Urson is a very capable goalie. He, talk about a guy who got thrown into the fire. I mean, what was it, 4 years ago when the Flyers were just really bad and you could tell that the rebuild was very much in effect. Urson stepped up and busted his ass to earn a spot on the Flyers roster, and he's managed to hold it down. So I got to give credit to Urson for having earned that spot. And then on top of it, Vladar, he's been around the league. He knows what it takes to get the job done at the end of the day. He might not be the sexy name or what have you. He may not be the player that's going to, make you go, wow, we've got that guy, but he's reliable. And sometimes in a season that we're most likely going to have, you need reliable. You don't necessarily need the big name. As long as you're playing strong defensively, like you were talking about, Rob, and you've got a reliable goaltender in the back there, and Urson we know can be reliable as long as he's not getting overworked, and you have Vladar, who's a veteran, who knows what it's like to be in all kinds of situations as an NHL player, then you know what? You should be fine. You should be absolutely fine if your 5-on-5 is holding up well defensively. Flyers should be okay there.
Oh yeah, they'll be fine. Like I said, I'm not worried because when you have two solid goaltenders and two goaltenders who know how to pick each other up. And obviously, it's going to take time for these two to kind of create that chemistry.
Right.
But when you have two goaltenders who know how to pick each other up, they just play better. They do. And, obviously, the better play in front definitely helps. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago I said this. When Sam Ersson had Carter Hart playing in front of him, he was outstanding, especially once he found his groove. Like his first year, I don't want to say I was anti Sam Ersson, but I said, let's see where this kid goes. Like, he's looking good right now, but he's yet to play anybody. He went down. So I think it was the year later, he started playing some of the tougher teams. He started to find that consistency. Hart started to find that consistency as well. So you started to be like, okay, we got a good tandem here. This is going to be good for years to come. I think they could find themselves in a situation like that now with Vladar and Ersson. But, Ersson could potentially be a free agent at the end of this year. And I think Vladar signed, a 2-year deal. So, up in the air. But, for the next, at least for this season, you can at least get the best out of Sam Ersson. And if he decides he doesn't want to re-sign, you can trade him at the deadline and get something nice for him.
True. That is possible. Either way, though, Flyers should be fine goaltending-wise, at least in terms of having a veteran pair. That should be okay. Ersson, like we said, is solid, reliable goaltender, and Vladar's the same way. So we should be okay in terms of that. As for the youth, I wouldn't necessarily say that we wouldn't see any of them, but, I don't necessarily think that the Flyers are rushing to put any of them in the goal crease right now.
Nor should they.
Yeah.
Nor should they, especially when it feels like, you're in a situation where you don't have to rush them. And I think they're in that situation right now. Like I said, Ersson's got to prove that he can still be that guy.
Right.
Vladar's got to prove that he can maintain that consistency that he had in Calgary with a different organization.
Right.
Granted, he had a great goalie in front of him in Dustin Wolf, who has a phenomenal future in the NHL. Can he do it with let's be honest, a lesser version of Dustin Wolf? Can he do that? Can he be a guy who might have to take a little bit more pressure on his end to make sure that the guy that he's tandeming with winds up being solid enough in front of him? Can he pick him up?
It'll be a challenge, but he's been around the league, so it shouldn't be too much of a challenge for him. He's been everywhere. He's been to Calgary, he's been to Boston, he's been a few other places if I remember correctly. But the point is that he's been around, he should be able to handle it.
That's right. He did play for Boston.
Yeah, I don't think it was when Swayman was there? I think it was right when Swayman just got there, because I think Tuukka was just getting ready to leave, and he showed up as the backup for them.
I forgot about that.
But let's see here. As we move along, who asked this one? Oh, Mike was asking who our favorite Phantom player was of all time. His was Giroux, which, that's totally understandable. He was a contributor to them winning the Calder Cup the year they won. So,
I'm going Richie with that when they won the cup as well.
Okay, nice. Was another big factor to it.
Oh man, I don't even remember most of the guys that were on the Phantoms when I watched them. I don't know. I'll go with my buddy's dad. I'll go with Peter White.
Okay,
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna roll with a gentleman that we've had on this show who's an excellent guest and just excellent person all around. I'm gonna go with Riley Cote.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Right.
So definitely some good stuff there. The Phantoms had a lot of fun players who eventually wound up in the orange and black jersey, and we mentioned a few right there. So that was nice to know. So yeah, the Flyers could draft. It wasn't that they couldn't. They just didn't always, keep the guys they drafted.
Patience.
Patience. That's the key. Priz is saying, watch Urson become our Cam Ward. If he manages to pull off that, that'd be insane. But
You know what? Let me take this moment to congratulate the Lehigh Valley Phantoms as they have a new head coach. Did you guys hear about this?
Yep. Go right ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, they John Snowden, who was Lappy's understudy per se, assistant head coach last year, moves up to head coach. Nick Schultz and Terrence Wallen are named assistant coaches. And this is according to Jordan Hall, NBC Sports Philadelphia. I like because of the familiarity and the strength of specifically Schultz, who played with the Flyers, knows what it is, what it's like, what it takes to play in orange and black. And John Snowden working with young kids already and having that relationship with several of them already and welcoming the new kids. I think this is I would have liked Jay McKee, but this is the next in-house. I like it.
Nice.
So to build off of what you said about Nick Schultz, is he's also been in the Flyers developmental program already. So he's getting promoted from being a coach there into being an assistant coach with the Phantoms, which I think is a phenomenal move. Met the guy a few times.
Agreed.
Nick is a hell of a guy. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Super nice guy. He'll answer any question you ask him, which is great. I love that. But he more than deserves this opportunity to be the assistant coach of the Phantoms with Snowden. So I like what they did with this coaching staff for them.
So my question then is, since Ian LePerriere is, moving on from the Phantoms, if I stand correct, he did not go up to the Flyers, right?
Yeah, he's an advisor for the Flyers hockey operations. Yes,
right. That's what it was.
Probably a little less hands-on role, sometime to spend more with family, but still be in the organization and contribute. I respect the move, right? And it's selfless, like Lappy played,
right?
For certain. But I think Brian, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Schultz is only 43 years old. He's 3 years my minor, so he's not too far removed from his playing days. So I think this is going to be a good fit for the organization.
So my question is, gentlemen, now while he is an advisor to the Flyers, do you think that anyone might ask LePerriere to become an assistant coach or possibly take an opportunity somewhere else in the NHL behind a bench? Now that he's spent some time in the AHL for a while, the Phantoms have actually been a pretty good team in the AHL. They've been consistently in the playoffs, not just because of the influx of talents. I'm sure Lappy's coaching has had something to do with it. So do you think that maybe one day he might get an offer to go join a team and join their bench?
I think I think it's more getting a taste of the front office, kind of going the Danny B route.
Okay.
Right. He might have his eyes set more on either general manager or ultimately president of hockey operations, a la Keith Jones, and that's you can see that in terms of the leadership that he brings and he brought behind the bench too. But I wouldn't be surprised though. You take a step back so you can do more job searching. Haven't we all done that?
Right. It's an idea because sometimes you see it. Sometimes AHL coaches get the opportunity to eventually test their mettle in the NHL. It doesn't always happen, but every now and again it does. Sometimes you take a break from a couple of years in the AHL. Next thing you know, you're getting your first opportunity at the NHL level. Maybe as an assistant coach to start things off with, but who knows? You learn under a head coach in the NHL, and then you get the opportunity to move forward there. So it's just an idea, maybe possible route he could go eventually.
I mean, he's already had his role in the NHL with the Flyers, and fortunately, he didn't turn out too great, but he also had his opportunities as a head coach in the AHL. So, I mean, maybe he could be in the situation where let me try everything that I can, see which one I like better. I could see him being on a bench somewhere else again. Absolutely. Players like playing for him. He's a smart guy, and he wasn't really that great at the game, which would ideally make him a great coach, right?
I mean, there was a reason why he was known for fighting back when he played. So
there's a reason why the best can't coach this game. Think
But
about it.
But you know what's funny though? How is it that, some of the toughest enforcers, fighters, whatever you want to call them, they make some great coaches. They they may be able to be they're not a great hockey player in terms of scoring goals, but they'll throw down with the best of them, and then they'll coach your young guys to perfection at the end of the day.
And you know what else they bring, Maddie? The loudest voice in the locker room.
That's
That's
true.
true.
That's true. That's true. Albeit though, Lappy didn't need to be the loudest voice in the locker room, ironically enough, because the teams he was on, you had guys like Hartnell was on there, and you had freaking Carcillo rolling around in there. It's just like, geez, Lappy wasn't even the main enforcer on the team.
Let's be
That's what's
real. Dan Carcillo had no idea where he was that entire time.
That is a good point, actually. He was a little bit, he was dealing with a lot of blizzards back then. So, unfortunately, that was a nasty habit that was going around the NHL at that time. So, let's see. Swoopy saying, gentlemen, Swoopy, how are you, my good man? He also goes on to say, I disagree with the poll.
But he goes on and says, wait, I misread that.
Yes, he did. He said, wait, I misread that. I agree with the poll.
Go to college. That's the PSA of the show tonight.
Right. Right.
Go to school, fool.
Prism saying Frundell signed his ELC, but will play in Sweden next year. Interesting.
Yeah, that's always an option too.
I didn't know he could do that. I thought once he signed his ELC, he signed his contract with the Hawks. He can either obviously play with the Hawks or be sent back down to juniors.
Interesting. So, gentlemen, obviously we were talking a little bit earlier about some changes that were happening, in particular with the AHL, where instead of it being a 20-year-old league, it could be a 19-year-old league. So now the question is, did you guys get a chance to take a look at the other changes that were coming around the NHL through their Board of Governors meetings and see what rules they're implementing going into next year?
Yes, a player who signs an NHL entry-level contract can still play in Sweden, specifically in the Swedish Hockey League, under certain conditions. While signing an ELC signifies the player's commitment to the NHL team, it doesn't automatically mean they will play in North America immediately.
Okay.
Maybe it's similar to KHL as well.
Maybe. And Frundell is Swedish, right?
I believe so.
So it makes sense. In a way, it's kind of like, he wants to stay and play another year or so at home and then eventually leave to go to his NHL squad. It makes sense. And let's see, Me Metal Mike saying Ovechkin might have his last season this upcoming hockey season. If he does, he will put the cap on one of the greatest careers ever witnessed in the history of hockey. Right up there in the top 5 of the greatest careers. Might even be, actually, you could even argue top 3. So, I mean,
definitely top 3.
He broke the scoring record. No one thought that was changing anytime soon. I mean, I don't think anyone, when Gretzky retired, I don't think any human being at that moment would have said, yeah, there's going to be this guy from Russia who's going to show up in a few years, and he's eventually going to break that record within a few decades. Be like, a few decades? Not a century? A few decades? Like, that has to be mind-blowing if you had told somebody that back then. And then, on top of it, he got the cup, and of course, he was, he's the face of the Washington Capitals. He's the most famous Washington Capital of all time. So, great legacy he's leaving. He'll be finished up with in his NHL career.
No, for sure. And what was I going to say? I don't remember. Oh yeah, I put money on the fact that next year is his last year for sure. He's already stated that he's probably going to retire after this contract anyway. Go play a year or 2 in the KHL and call it quits and go raise his kid.
There you go. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan. Swoopy saying that his nephew made it to States for the SCPA at 8 under. You'll be facing off with teams from Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, and a few others. All right, well, good luck to your nephew there, Swoopy. Hopefully he has a great tournament.
Yeah, good luck, bud.
So big changes that I noticed from the NHL. We're not going to have 82 games anymore. We're going back to 84.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, I know they were flirting with it, but I thought they were going to let that debate for a little bit. But no, they decided we're going 84 now.
Let me see if I
So
could pull it up for everybody.
that's kind of crazy to think about. Like 84 games back in the NHL hasn't been that way since the early 90s.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I think it coincides with the cap. You're going
Yeah.
up. You gotta pay for it somehow in those extra games.
That's true. Those extra games tack on some extra big old dollars from them sponsors. I mean,
Right.
that gives you more room for ESPN games, for TNT, for NBC, ABC,
Right.
and makes total sense when you put it in that perspective.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did lose a lot of revenue, like when games cancellations during COVID. So, like it's sort of now here's the flip side, and I like it because you just see life trend in cycles like this, right? And it seems like it's like you see that grunge look almost come back again, right? And you just see life cycling, and this is just another example of it, right? Where we've come full circle, boys. So let's get to the Cup Finals and get our hearts broken by Detroit. Oh no, that can't happen now.
Can't happen, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get our hearts broken in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what'll happen.
So I can't really pull it up, but I'm not seeing like an image where I can actually pull it up. But they did Puckpedia really broke it down. So one of the other things outside of the 84 games, one of the things that I'm gonna really, really like is they're adjusting the playoff LTIR. So it looks like the new LTIR rule will limit cap relief for the league. If a player is expected to return that season, full relief is only allowed if the player is ruled out for both the regular season and the playoffs. In the playoffs, teams must keep total cap hit of dressed players under the regular season ceiling. Cap hits are not prorated and all dead cap from the regular season. So basically, my takeaway from that is going to be Mark Stone can't sit on the IR all year long and just pop in when they're ready for the playoffs.
Right. Well, I mean, you kind of had a feeling that was going to happen at some point. After everyone made a big old stink about it when Mark Stone showed up and said, "Hey guys, I'm back from injury. I can play, right? Even though this totally puts my team over the salary cap, right? Because it's not the regular season." And then everybody's like, "Yeah, sure, why not? We don't care." Then they won a cup. So you knew that something was going to change after that. It was going to happen at some point.
They're also doing away with double retained contracts. So basically that means anytime you see like a third party involved, you can't do that anymore. So you're going back to if you can't cover the 50%, the deal probably can't be done.
Interesting. So no three-way deals.
Contract limits is down to 7 years now. That's going to be the max. There's going to be no more deferred contracts for any NHL players anymore. They're doing away with that.
Oh my goodness! I wish they did that in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers would be out of business.
Yeah, yeah, they would. The Mets finally wouldn't have to sign Bobby Bonilla anymore.
Yeah, I know.
You wouldn't have to pay him.
Yeah, you know what? I almost think like, don't you think when you buy a new team and like Steve Cohen's got like huge amounts of money, wouldn't you just buy it off? I think it's because it's specifically written in his contract that I will not accept that money for each of this. Like he want like there must be some legal ramification because why wouldn't he just pay him off at this point? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, but you know, what's life without Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah, that's true. It is a national but yeah, so no more deferred contracts in the NHL. Got it. What else?
They looks like they're maximizing the minor league contracts. So,
Good shit.
from the max from 2021 and earlier was 80K. 2022-23 is 82 and a half. 24-25 is 85K. And now it's going to go up. So the minimum for 26-27 is going to be 85 and a half. Maximum is going to be starting in 26-27. I'm sorry. It's the league minimum. It's now going to be 850K. And by 2029, 2030, the minimum is going to be $1 million.
Wow, that's interesting because I saw a lot of signings this past week, guys, that was at exactly 775K, a lot of them. And a lot of the ELC deals were a lot of the same figures as well. So, yeah, I think it coincides with this shifting. Let's get it done now before 26, 27.
Right. Before all the prices start hiking up. Yeah.
So the e-bug rules is there's always going to be an e-bug now. That's going to be mandatory. And he has to be on the reserve list.
Okay.
Or he has to be a restricted free agent on the list of any NHL team.
Okay, so can't do a minor league player.
You can't pick a guy at random either. So he has to be on the roster. That's what I'm taking away from this, at least.
Right.
Anything else that's really going to be of note to talk about? Nope.
So what did we think? I mean, obviously, the two big things that I would say, well, actually, three big things. One is contract length, because that's definitely going to be a big thing to come into. Because we always talk about the 8-year deals, the 9-year deals, things like that. So that's not going to be a thing no more. It's going to be maxed out at 7. Do we think that GMs will start to give those out a little less now? Do you think that we're going to start seeing a return of maybe, okay, long-term deals are going to be like 5 and like 6 instead of being even at the max of 7, that we're going to see them start to be a little bit more rare? Or do you think that there will still be a decent amount of 7-year deals thrown out there to star players?
I think we'll still see a decent amount of max contracts out there. I don't think that's really going to change much. If anything, it's less of a commitment to a player. So, I mean, you look at it like, yeah, there's a ton of players out there that are signing 8-year contracts. Cool. Awesome. But, I mean, you look at some of these bigger stars, they're starting to figure out, like, hey, I can make more money on a shorter deal.
True.
So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that with some of these massive stars, which I think is going to start with Connor McDavid.
Right. And then with the cap going up on top of it, that will definitely allow them to look at that saying, okay, maximize it with a less amount of length. Besides that, well, also, do you think that GMs will start to play around with it a little bit more? Do you think that they might try to do shorter length deals for rental situations? I mean, they do it now, but sometimes they go 3-4 years every now and again to try and get a little bit more out of them. Do you think they might do the 2-and-1s like they used to back in the day a little bit more?
Yeah, I can see it. I've seen it this week. Yeah.
Okay.
2-1. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that was a normal thing you used to see back in the day, in like the early aughts. You'd always see those 2-1 deals, especially around the trade deadline time and what have you, to try and just maximize your playoff potential. So nowadays there's a little bit more length, but might change that up a little bit. So obviously the LTIR rule change, I'm going to assume that that's something no one's going to get mad about. I'm assuming everyone would be happy with that, considering that it's a lot of people called bullshit on Vegas for doing it. So is there any objections to it? Do you think that it's still, it shouldn't matter if that player puts you over the cap and you're in the playoffs? Or do you think that, yes, you should still be under the cap come playoff time and through the playoffs?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the cap is there for a reason.
Correct.
You know, everybody made a big deal when Tampa Bay did it too with Kucherov because he missed a good chunk of the season and he came back for the playoffs and everything was fine. They were well over the cap as well. So, yeah, you got to keep it under the cap.
But and also to piggyback your point, Brian, Vegas isn't the only team that's done it. Tampa Bay was just as guilty as well, and you can make cases for Panthers as well as Nashville Predators too during their playoff run. So, you know, it was a tactic. Don't hate the player, hate the game, and then change the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Chris saying, I hope we don't turn into the NBA with all the stars wanting to team up. And then Priz also saying, agreed, be under the cap, you cheating fucks.
Oops.
Yep.
And then obviously the final one is the 84 games. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. You get 84 games now. I mean, personally for me, I'm not going to complain. 84 game season. Hey, that's 2 extra games for that the Flyers will be playing. Since we're not guaranteed the playoffs right now.
and they should be, hopefully, God willing, they're against Metro Division foes and maybe even chief rivals like the Rangers and Devils, because that's what you want to see, right? Because you know, players, you know, the league has gotten wider, it's expanded, and you see less games of that. So, you know, if you're going to add games, it should be them.
Yeah. What's good too is I mean, including preseason games, nothing's changing. You're still playing the same amount. It's just you're going to have 2 extra counting. You're going to have 2 less in preseason. So you know, there's not a whole lot of change there. So I guess, and thinking about it, big picture, not much is changing.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm with you though, Robbie. Let's get 2 more. Let's get 2 more division games in there.
But that's the thing too. With this opportunity to expand the season by 2 more games, that gives you the opportunity to kind of even out schedules and make it more like, hey, why don't you have a strong amount of games for your division? Because there's a lot of times where in the Metro, Flyers are only facing a team, 3 times a year, twice a year? It's like, why are we only facing a Metro team twice this season? Why are we only facing this Metro team 3 times? You know? Doesn't make any sense. It made more sense when it was the 3 divisions and you played your division 6 times. It's like, yeah, that made total sense. They're your division.
Right.
So, I don't know. Hopefully that's what I get out of it. That we get a better, more decent looking schedule at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Be nice.
Yeah. So those were the major changes that happened from the board in the NHL. Those were the 3 big ones, at least in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have any other ones you want to throw out there that you think are going to have a major impact on everything. All right, then. Cool. So that pretty much takes care of the big changes that they did around the NHL. Obviously, the big one, of course, we talked about. And for Porter Martone, big decision coming up for him. Either come to the Flyers or attempt to come to the Flyers, or possibly go to the NCAA and try his hand out there as he develops into his playing style. And that'll do it for this edition of Flyers Talk A2D. We thank everybody for joining us once again. And, well, we got a rest of an offseason to go. I know the NHL, I believe, I think the schedule was going to be released tomorrow, if I stand correct. It was tomorrow the 17th. It's coming out soon.
The end of the week.
The end of the week, okay. Either way, it's coming out real soon. So we'll know soon enough who the Flyers will be playing and when. Obviously, next week, since we have a show, we might as well talk about it next week. I'm assuming that will be one of the things we discuss as we get into this. So that'll be coming up, and we hope to see you guys there for another edition of Flyers Talk A2D. From all of us here, stay safe. You stay healthy out there. Enjoy the weather if it's nice for you. And, yeah, have fun, because before you know it, the season's going to come rolling back around, and it's time to hunker in and watch some Flyers hockey. Brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the Dr. Paul Vidal. Visit him if you have any aches and pains. And we will see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Peace and love, everyone.